The Public Awareness Personnel Policy Committee of the Vallecitos Water District will come to order Monday, June 5th at 10 a.m. We are in the upper conference room at the district office. Do we have any members of the public?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right. Items for discussion, Water Resources Leadership Program budget discussion.
Yeah, I'll jump in and take that item. So we've done 2 years worth of the Water Resources Leadership Program. First year was at La Costa Meadows, and this past year was at La Costa Meadows and at Double Peak. And both were very successful. Chris and I met with Bill Dean, the originator of the program, last Wednesday to talk about the future. What is his plan? So his plan is to try to get it into 2 new schools next year and to continue to support the 2 schools that are already there. So it's starting to become a money issue. So the first year it was $25,000 to help develop the program and run it at La Costa Meadows. Last year it was going to be the same amount at Double Peak, but then he decided to get it into 3 classrooms. So he bumped it from $25,000 to $33,000. No additional ongoing costs for La Costa Meadows. That was the only cost. Bill was indicating that it'll be cost $50,000 to get it in 2 schools, whether it's multiple classrooms per school or just 1 class per school. There you go. So $50,000, and so that's just hard dollars out the door. But there's also a lot of staff time on our side, and the asks that they want rain barrels and trash grabbers. So I asked for this to be put on the agenda so that we can have a discussion about how much the board is willing to fund this program on an ongoing basis. So Bill said 50,000 for next year if he gets 2 schools. I put in 35,000 in the budget you're going to be looking at this Wednesday. There's 35,000 in the budget. How I got the 35,000, it was basically taking the 33,000 that we spent this year and just bumping it up a little bit and to include some costs for the asks that they have. I'm not convinced that Bill will be able to find 2 schools. So in the budget that you look at, if the board approves it as proposed, it will only have enough money for 1 program, but maybe multiple classrooms at one school. Or Bill may be willing to work on his price and take 35,000 for multiple schools. So just so you know what's in the budget and kind of helps foster this conversation right here. Chris spends a lot of time on the program, and as we start to get multiple schools, it's going to be more and more taxing, not just on Chris's time, but on other staff time. At Double Peak this past year, we had the Vector truck and the CCTV camera go out there, and that's a crew of, was it 4 to 6? No, it's probably 8 people manning both. Yeah, it was only for a couple of hours, but you can see if we start it. This has always been an issue of scale with this program. As it gets bigger and bigger, it's very cool that it's getting bigger, but it's growing pains too. So I just wanted to have that conversation. I don't have a specific recommendation other than $35,000 in the upcoming budget to do 1 or 2 schools to expand the program. We don't specifically budget for the asks because we don't know what they're going to be asking in a year, but we're starting to get a feel. We've got 2 data points now. Both schools have asked for rain barrels. Those are about $1,200-1,300. And then it's death by 1,000 cuts. They want trash grabbers and toilet leak tabs and all this. And my wife just said, hey, they want to give at the La Costa Meadows, they want to give a toilet leak tablet to every student, and they want 700 and something tablets. So they're short 350 tablets. So not big by itself, but it's always something. So we probably need to start thinking about how much we want to invest in this program on an annual basis. So Chris, anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think you got it.
Okay, pretty good. So I guess I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Can you talk about what kinds of things it requires of you?
So there's just a certain amount of time that gets allocated towards it, and I really don't mind giving the time. The thing that concerns me is my job title is like water conservation, public information, and it always seems like the water conservation part, which is going to get harder and harder and harder as we move forward years and years with there's an AB 1668, and I forget the Senate bill, but it's basically the same thing. They're going to make us do more things and basically have a water budget for the district. And I just worry that I get further and further behind, like I'm running up a hill, getting a little behind on that. So that's my big point. I like this stuff. It just takes time away from other things that I should be worrying about. and paying attention to.
Just to clarify, if the Senate bill goes through and the state mandates water budgeting requirements. We're not there yet, but that's significant. That'll be something that will be coming to the board because we'll need additional resources for that water budgeting itself. As a consultant, I worked on it with Irvine Ranch. It's a huge undertaking with all our GIS technology. It's a lot easier than when Irvine Ranch put it together in the late 80s, early 90s. But even with that, it takes a lot of resources. We're not there yet, but I do share Chris's concern on that because that is looming. I think the state's going to make a decision probably in the next year or two, and then there'll be an implementation period, obviously.
Okay.
So we won't be blindsided. Everybody will know it's coming.
I think this brings up a couple of issues, and then let's get back to, you know, the water resources, but as you know, public information and water conservation, both of those things, the needs are going to grow. So maybe going down the path a little bit farther in the future, maybe we should talk about maybe some part-time help for your public information offload. So that's a discussion for another time, a budget in the future, but I heard that also from what you said.
Sure.
Director Grosset.
I share Glenn's concerns of scalability with this program. I mean, Bill himself only has so much time, so I'm not sure how much further he could possibly stretch himself. I see this as maybe becoming. And I would love to have him involved in the discussion too, but like some form of like a hybrid online / in-person boot camp week, condense it into that, as opposed to how many weeks do they do this for?
It's like 15 days, it's like 3 weeks, it's either 10 or 15, I can't remember, it's 2 or 3 full weeks.
It's a pretty good outcome for two weeks of
Yeah,
and the presentation. It was on value in that. I just can't see it successfully scaling beyond really where it's at right
You know,
now without significantly retooling.
yeah, we could certainly say no to some of Bill's requests, and the money is one thing, the 25,000, whatever we pay is one thing, but then the request for, can we have somebody from the meter shop come and walk the kids around the campus? Can we have the Vector and the CCTV come? Can Chris come on a day? I usually go a couple days a year. We could say no to those things, but I think they add a lot of value to the program to have the industry experts there to teach the kids instead of just their teacher trying to lay information.
Yeah,
So if we're gonna do it, I'd rather do it right and maybe do it on a smaller number of schools every year than trying to. I don't know what we would do if there were 2 schools involved. Double peak doing it in 3 classrooms didn't make it that much more difficult because our folks only had to go to school one day. You know, there were too many kids that had one session, so they did, but it was back-to-back sessions. So that instead of us being there for an hour, we were there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But if there's multiple schools, then you're having to set up and break down and go to another school. That's a big deal.
yeah. I guess what I was just thinking in my head is like you add it all up, right? It's 35 grand, and then like the cost of staff time and stuff like that. It's probably another 10 grand down there. So round up 50, talking 25 per school.
Yeah.
And then you just go, at what point do you just offer the schools like, hey, we'll give you 5 grand in assistance if you teach this yourselves, and have some sort of tour that goes around to them on 1 or 2 days, you know, some. But again, it would be great to have Bill involved in this discussion. Be like, we love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let's just take a step back and figure out how to set you up for success in scaling this.
Yeah. Bill would be happy to come to one of these meetings. Chris and I met with him intentionally last Wednesday to say, hey, it's done on Mondays of P3 committee. We'll be talking about it. Wanted to get his vision for the future. And he's open to coming and meet with us, but I didn't think today was the best time to do that. But if you want to schedule it either at a P3 committee or a separate meeting, that's fine. We can talk about the next steps.
Let's have him, let's make sure that this comes up on, you know, the next P3 committee meeting.
Okay,
Let's have him come between then and now. Because coincidentally, I met with 2 San Marcos Unified School Board members the same day that you met with Bill.
Yeah.
And we talked about this program because I wanted to tell them, you know, what was going on, and that it's a great program and that we had hoped to grow it, but we might need some help with funds. So we talked about putting together a presentation for the administration to see what they thought about it. The scalability, yes, that is an issue. The funds, yes, that's also an issue. So we might be a little bit closer to finding out if we, if it is possible to go in just 2 schools, we might have some help, the school district might have some funds to help us. I would like to see what Bill's budget is for this program, so that we can just get an idea. I think that's a fair ask since we're paying for it.
Yeah.
So, that might be kind of a tricky subject, but I would like to see a budget.
Yeah.
That, what does he spend that money?
Where's this money go?
Yeah, where does it go?
Yeah.
Um,
I actually had that conversation with them, not this past Wednesday, but previously. He said, hey, the first year, the 25,000, I know a lot of that went into developing the program, right?
Mhm.
Developing the slides and the research and all that. And I told Bill, I said, it wasn't my expectation that every year it was gonna be that cost every year at a new school to roll it into a new school. I didn't think the cost would go to 0. I just didn't think it'd stay as high as it
Mhm.
was. But it's early days in the program, and I get that. But I think it's time to have that conversation and talk about the future.
Mhm.
Of, where is this thing going?
Mhm. Yeah, and I do, I do like the idea of keeping it moving and pushing into more schools. I'm a little fuzzy around what happens to the schools. Like, how did it work at La Costa? Did the Vector truck go to La Costa and, was?
No, it didn't. Well, it didn't because my wife didn't ask for it.
Okay,
So if she had asked, we probably would have arranged it.
okay.
And that's my concern, is that the word's gonna get around, oh, they got that, now I want that. And then every year, 10
And
years from
assume
now.
that's a
we're gonna have
week that, 10 days that the Vector truck is not.
Yeah,
It's got.
no production, right? We're in that, and that's my problem with scalability. And I'll say the good thing is, and my wife didn't ask any questions of Bill Dean this year. She relied pretty heavily on him the first year, but now she's got it.
Okay,
So hopefully that's a good model, and that after the teachers are educated that they can run the program on their own. Bill's a resource, but I don't need him much. So Bill's focusing 99% of his effort on the new school, getting the new school, teaching it at the new school, and then he moves on. I don't even know how many elementary schools there are in the school districts. Gotta be 10, 15, something like that. So we still got quite a few years before we saturated the school district. And that's what I told Bill early on. I can't justify funding any programs that are outside of our service area. It doesn't have to be in or outside of La Costa or San Marcos Unified School District, but it has to be in the Vallecitos service areas, because there's some other school districts that go into our
Mhm.
our jurisdictions.
okay. I was gonna ask you a question.
And I'm not really looking for any specific direction. I don't have a recommendation. It's just time to start the conversation. Maybe bringing Bill into the future meeting is a good thing to do.
Okay.
I did share with Bill that there was, and Tiffany, I think it was you that brought it up, was let's try to get it into an underserved school.
Mhm.
He's kind of concentrating on La Costa.
No, San Marcos.
San Marcos
Mhm.
Elementary. It's right on San Marcos Boulevard.
That's right.
Yeah. So he doesn't know where the second one would be, but that's his first choice, and then he's gonna look for a second school.
This is the question I was gonna ask. After, so for example, they were a double peak this year. Is there a debrief to try to ensure that those teachers have everything they need? Or, the teachers say yes or no, we plan on doing it next year?
Yes, Chris, well, that's a separate part. So Chris and I talked about, there's probably a need for Chris or somebody on staff to reach out to the teachers and say, is this program working for you? Is this something that the district should continue to invest in? I got some feedback from my wife. She loves it, but it'd be nice for Chris can reach out to the 3 teachers who did the double peak school and find out the same
I
thing.
think that would be a good idea, because this was something that was different.
Yeah, it was. And my wife was thinking, how are they doing that with 3 classes? She couldn't imagine 3 classes at the same time. So she wants to reach out to the kid, or to those teachers and say, how did that work for you? Because she had a different perspective.
Yeah, it was crowded, I went a couple of days.
Yeah.
And when what they would do is have a centralized classroom, and then they would bring half of another classroom in. I think it was half, or another, anyway, there were a lot of kids in one classroom while that was going on, and while when they were doing the water taste test. It looked like they did it a little bit differently at La Costa Meadows than they did at Double Peak. It was super chaotic at Double Peak, because I was,
Yeah.
I was there that day, and there wasn't, it didn't, that did not work.
Yeah.
It was not, it was not well organized, and I know that it's not completely scientific, but it needs to have the appearance of being somewhat scientific, where the kids can take a sip, write an observation, take a sip, write an observation, rather than taking a sip of everything all around and then trying to remember. They go back to their desk and they have no idea, they don't know what, which was A, which was B. So that's probably why Vallecitos didn't come out on top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
That's probably-
Yeah,
But I think having a conversation about feedback is good to find out if in fact they are going to do it the next year. You know, your wife is doing it, and that's great.
Yep.
But the hope is that they keep doing it.
yeah, and that's how we justify the investment, right? It's not just a one and done. It's hopefully that it lives in the school district.
Okay.
Not, or at least in that school.
So the action items then are, you'll reach out to Bill and ask him for a budget, or you will, or
Well, talk to
Somebody-
the teachers.
Chris will talk to the.
Yeah, I'll talk to
Mr.
Bill,
Rock will talk to.
and I'll invite Bill to a subsequent P3 committee meeting.
Let's see how, it's summertime and people are busy, so.
Yeah.
Whether it'll be the next or the following one.
Yeah, we can shoot for maybe the August one. Yeah, the one thing my wife commented on it, what I understand from Bill, there was almost no parent support at the Double Peak, very, very minimal. And my wife relied heavily on it. Every day she had 3 or 4 parent volunteers. And she was trying to figure out how well it worked with minimal parent support, but we can't fix that.
No, I think that's in the marketing, right?
Yeah.
I think it's in the promotion and looping in, classroom parents and. I posted a couple of places saying, here's what's happening. I'm sure the teachers would, appreciate support. And I don't know if that got any traction.
Yeah.
But I think, to my mind, I think it was kind of a rush to kind of come together for Double Peak, on the part of Double Peaks,
Right.
because they were busy and there was some gaps in communication, and finally, we got it rolling. But I think that I think that now they kind of understand what it's about.
Yeah.
And maybe
Year 2 might be a more organized year.
it might.
Yeah, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm sure the teachers have ideas about how they would want to run it too.
Yeah.
Um,
One of the other issues too is we're the only host for the capstone project to come in and make the presentation. And if this starts getting scaled within our district and there's 10 schools doing the program, you're not going to want to hear 10 different presentations. I was actually quite pleasantly surprised with Double Peaks. I was concerned that they may have too many speakers. My wife had about, I think, 30 students. So with Double Peak, there's 90 kids in the program, but they still had about the same number of speakers at the board meeting, which was good. It was about the same amount of time.
yeah, they asked for volunteers.
Yeah.
Because I was talking with my kid and I was like, well,
Yeah.
he said, no, I don't want to do
Do that.
it. So,
Yeah.
okay, you're still going.
And my wife was so happy. She had 18 volunteers out
Yeah,
of 28
that's great.
kids. That's pretty good.
They did great.
Yeah,
Okay, so
right. So we got some marching orders for next.
yeah, I think, I feel really strongly in this program, and this is, as I was talking to the board members from the school district, we as 2 organizations and, in partnership with Palomar too, we've set ourselves up to deliver like an investment in water education that informs employment in our district, in San Marcos. And we've got sort of 3 stopping points, and we can keep filling in those holes. And I think this is a big part of it.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing, when we bring Bill in here is really branding it as Vallecitos, I think is an important thing, because then the parents see it as like, oh, I'm getting my money's worth,
Okay.
here, right?
Yeah.
Like,
They're all ratepayers.
right.
Okay.
And so I think it'll be super helpful to, really drill that branding in as part of the program.
I think it's a great idea.
Bill is trying to, I've asked him to look into getting financial support from either the school district, which is gonna be tough, or maybe the city of San Marcos. If the city was involved, they'd probably like to see more of a focus on stormwater program because they have responsibility for the stormwater system. They may be willing to donate some money. And to be, ask those two agencies if they'd be willing to be the hosts for the capstone presentation. So it's not always
Agreed.
coming to Vallecitos Water District.
And we did talk about, we're gonna submit on that grant again. It's pretty much an annual.
Yeah.
Grant, so we'll just reapply.
And remind me what.
This is an MWD, Metropolitan Water District grant. It's basically innovative programs in water conservation. And they don't have to specifically, have a defined amount of water savings that comes from it. You can have different types of programs, and I'm hoping like if we just keep applying, they'll eventually
Mhm.
Andy Dufresne us and just say, okay, yeah, we'll give you the money. So
Okay. All right.
And how much was that for?
it was 50,000. So
Yeah,
I think I kind of assumed that I sort of thought we would get it. Because I know MWD likes a partnership, likes you to be, public-private partnership. They kind of like that thing, but they didn't give me any feedback on why we didn't get it.
Oh,
So.
darn, okay. Okay. Well, thank you all for continuing to support the program.
yeah,
It's
it's an awesome program.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else on that? Okay, intern updates.
We take that. Okay, so Evan Fox completed his internship. He's the third intern we've had. Recently, Ben Crane asked me for recommendation. I think he's trying for a position at Mooten Niguel. There you go. So,
Orange County.
yeah. So I think he kind of lives up that way. I think that's where
Yeah,
He
Evan's
lives.
asking for that or the previous guy?
previous guy, Ben Crane.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all of them, Greg Gautier, Ben Crane, Evan Fox. It's all like an animal names. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that.
Yeah,
Liked working with all of them, and we have a position open in water ops, and I notified all three of them. Hey, if you got your D1 or whatever, this might be something you want to look into.
No luck for Ben Crane. He wants to. Does he live up
Ben, I think, lives like in Orange County.
there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I think that's where his parents live, maybe.
Darn.
he may have
because, the whole point of this is that we want them.
Yes, truly, truly.
Yeah.
But I think I said, hey, this is coming out, look at it.
Okay.
And he said, I'll apply or something like that.
It
So,
doesn't mean that they, after they get their foot in the industry, when we have a different position later, they may come back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because they remember our experience here,
That's a good point.
so, and did want to point out,
that has happened.
Flavia Orem is scheduled to be our intern in the fall. She was one of the scholarship winners. She's from Africa, and she got one of the scholarships. So plays out nicely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
When did she start?
When their actual school year starts, I have it written down somewhere. It's sometime in August when Palomar starts. So she'll be with us, and she can do the Monday, Tuesday thing like we like. So
Good.
we're all set.
I can't believe we're already going to our fourth.
Fourth one?
Yeah.
intern.
That's good.
What's the feedback? I know one of the concerns when we first talked about this was the time that it would require from staff. How is it going? What are you hearing from staff?
So the good news is, and I talked to all the different supervisors, and there's certain employees that are really kind of interested in something specific. So when they're in that department, that's kind of what they're focused on. And there's other places where that's not really their specific goal. But all of them get in there. Some of them are less excited about getting in the mud, if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So that just happens. But I haven't heard a bad thing from anybody, from any of the supervisors about any of them. They all really have to just kind of go into what they're doing with gusto and just kind of, hey, I'm going to be here for 2 days, just let me do what I can do. Chris Toppy in meters is a good guy for really letting them touch things. There's a certain amount of some of the jobs, which is too dangerous. It's just really too dangerous to have an intern getting in a trench or anything like that. But Chris and meters, he's had him change out a meter, and so that's like a skill, You ever change out a meter? Yeah, I've done that.
From Chris, well, he's short staffed, so he's probably needs them.
I'm joking. As long as I'm on the subject, there's staff over at San Marcos promised that they have some interns that they got a grant and they will pay them to do jobs for you. And so I connected them with Chris to see, hey, can this work out for you? And I've kind of left it in, I don't need to manage it, you two connect, and if you.
This is the Boys and Girls Club thing?
No, this is San Marcos Promise is I would basically call it like a nonprofit arm of San Marcos Unified School District, I guess. They have an actual office at the district offices, kind of off to one side.
Yeah.
So they really are trying to promote careers.
Yeah.
Great.
Got it.
But also colleges, but also trades.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that's specifically with trades. And so we just partnered with them on a lot of things. We had an event here a while back where they did an experience ship, and that was the one that was difficult because it was almost too small. And I was trying to move people around, and it made it really difficult. And I was thinking, if I do that again, I just need to do it in a different format. I don't need to follow the city's format. I can come up with my own format and do it in a manner that's achievable here. So, cool. Yeah.
So we might be getting some folks from San Marcos Promise.
Yes.
Okay, just keep us posted.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. That's great PR for the district.
Yeah.
That is also a great partnership. So, yeah, I'm interested.
We recently, just a couple of weeks back, had some students they were coordinated by the San Diego County Office of Education, and it was their trades person. And they had students from General Murray, I think, over in Vista Unified. And so they came over and we gave them a tour as well. So again, more trades oriented, but that you can have, a career here versus a job or whatever. That's the way, and not the way we like to sell it, it's more of a career than a job. Yeah. So
There's actually an article in the UT this morning about San Marcos Promise.
did you see us in it or no?
I saw the headline.
Yeah.
But
So they
I
mention
noticed
us.
it.
Yes, they mentioned us.
Good. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's not pictures of us.
Good.
I was a little sad. No pictures of.
There's an article about a shortage of trade industry coming up. There's a
Yeah.
huge shortage.
That's
There's
right.
not enough people going into the trades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good. Okay, well, that's great to know.
So I will add to that. So I think our ops has been really good at accepting the interns, but I don't think we can scale that bigger either. I don't think they could absorb 2 or 3 concurrent interns. So it's going to be this single sequential.
Yeah.
Visible.
we're still doing the county water authority internship program too.
Yes.
And that's parallel. So that's parallel from this, and so that they're already doing another internship
Mhm.
program that's specifically ops trade focused.
What do we know about the county water authority interns as far as where do they end up?
They have an over 80% higher rate after they
Okay.
finish the intern program there. I think it's like 85% is the latest number I heard, find a job in the industry. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ivan
Yeah.
Ivan we
Yeah,
got
Ivan
from,
Mark.
and then one of the guys that's now in mechanical electrical.
I believe you. I know
We
we've
have
got a
3.
couple.
There's
yeah.
3 that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 of our current employees went through the water.
Okay.
authority
I
intern
can see his face, but I'm not pulling up his name.
program. Yeah.
Okay,
So, and that's a paid program. It's difficult to get into. It's not really easy to get into that. They've got people that are,
It's very competitive.
yeah, it's really competitive, and our interns have applied for it. I think Greg actually got it, but then I think he had a death in the family and had to leave it partway through or something like that. So,
Okay.
things happen. So,
I did want to plug the SDEDC one more time, the engineering internship. So if you could take an intern in engineering, they cover the costs, so they're paying them $22 an hour.
Yeah.
So they're pretty motivated, high-level engineers from UCSD, a couple of other great universities, including Cal State San Marcos as well, but That way you don't have to come out of pocket for anything, and engineering might need some
Yeah.
assistance, and they more than anything need real world experiences. Most engineers tend to be introverts. And
Yeah.
need that those soft skills to
Right.
be able to learn to succeed in the business world.
Right. I passed that information along to Jason and had a conversation with him, so he's looking into that.
Yeah.
See, one of the struggles we have here is some HR rules about the use of interns, and can they do actual productive work, or is it just more like, so the Palomar internship program is more of an exposure. We'll expose you to a lot of things. We're not getting much productive work out of them, right?
Yep.
We'd like to change that if we have the interns like what you're talking about,
Right.
that we actually get productive work. They get money and job experience. We get productive work. We're not just babysitting.
Yep.
And I think it's okay to have both types of programs. I think the Palomar program by its nature is different.
Right.
It's people early in their career, they're trying to get that just exposure. What do I like? What don't I like? But so we have to continue to work with HR to say, hey, how can we work these people? We've been approached by some people at the high school level, like Chris mentioned, with General Murray and some other. And that's tougher because then you have age restrictions at
Yes.
work, and how do they get here and those types of things. So, and Chris is our guy. He's like our only resource that manages all these intern programs. So I don't want to get him so busy with that he can't focus on the other aspects of his job. So
It's nice they put them through the harassment training and all that
Oh, they
free
do?
stuff
Okay.
before they get in here. So
Yeah.
they come in here fully qualified to work at a
Yeah.
high level.
Some of it's the CalPERS rules is why, like, for example, I interned at the county of San Diego. And even though I was just a paid intern in the county of San Diego, I could actually apply for retirement credits, even though I wasn't hired under that assumption. Because they worked me as an employee. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Rob Scholl, but previous engineer that was in Williams' position. He did that, he was at the county of Riverside, got a year and a half credit, but now the county of Riverside has to pay for him at his current salary.
yeah,
So you gotta be careful about
Yeah.
the intern programs of the CalPERS rules.
Are we under that or,
We're on the CalPERS, yeah.
but do we have the interns that we have? Do they get credit?
The types of programs that we have, no, it's when you start using them for productive work.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the-
okay.
yeah.
That's the difference.
yeah. And if you do use them for productive work, then we have to meet with the association, because the association may say, well, that's an employee, you should be hiring a full-time employee. You shouldn't be
Okay,
outsourcing it as an intern. So probably not a big deal. We could probably do the meet and confer and get through that, but that's another thing that another barrier that we have to get through.
yeah, let's keep talking about it because, we are going to need folks. And it sounds like
Yeah.
these, the potential for these interns, they get quite a lot of training on the back end. And when they come, wrapped with a bow, and we can
Yeah.
potentially get some good work and we can get some real world experience. Let's keep talking about it.
Yeah.
And this, who pays them?
The San Diego Economic Development Council.
Okay,
So
yeah.
they had some big grant that they got for it, and so
Okay.
now
And they
Right.
train them or the institution trains them?
the institution trains them. So the kids apply based on knowing, it's Vallecitos water. So like, okay, there's something I can probably contribute here. And then you either your pool of 10 applicants or whatever, which you could interview all of them, or you can interview 2 of them, and then you decide from there. It seems like a good fit.
Is it a specific partnership with certain universities and certain departments at?
Engineering only, and it's like 5 local universities, and they try to target kids who are underprivileged
Yeah.
primarily,
Financially,
financially. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's $22 for an internship job, that's pretty good. That's great.
Yeah, that's unusual.
yeah.
Okay, any other comments about that? Okay, scholarship updates.
So I actually have the checks.
Oh,
So
good.
we want to schedule when we're gonna give the students the checks and have an event. So that's why it's on the agenda here.
Can we look at July since June's
Second meeting in July might be ideal. I think first meeting in July is right after July 4th holiday. July 5th, how I get it together.
Okay,
That'd probably be the earliest opportunity. We got August.
probably welcome. at that time.
So July 19th.
Let's do it on July 19th.
So we'll invite them, but if they can't show up, they'll still get their check, right? When or not need to be present technically. Right?
So you know what, I'll try and do.
Price.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get maybe Paul to make some big checks and
Yeah.
do that.
Yep.
So he got that plotted printer downstairs.
Yeah, we got the brand new plotter printer, so.
Can we-
So brand new.
Can we make them write on wipe off so that we can reuse them? Because we're not giving them the giant checks, right?
Yeah, that's the funny part, right? Try and make them take it to the bank.
Yeah.
I think we could
Or
probably
just
just
put a
hold
photo.
up, we could let each one of them have a photo with the check.
But are we putting their name on them? That's what I was wondering.
Probably
Well,
not.
it's okay to print them out, because if we don't use the plotter heads, they dry up and the ink goes bad, so we have to use the plotter heads every week. Or else you have thousands of exaggerate, you have hundreds of dollars in ink that goes bad. So
Okay,
we have to, printing out 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is, 5 checks is not that big a deal. The
okay.
bigger deal is probably just mounting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can probably just print one that's a scholarship recipient.
Yeah, you can do it that way, but I mean, literally printing out with their names to make a little, that's not a big deal, yeah.
Okay, all right, I was just trying to be,
Yeah, no, I understand, but we do a waste print every Monday,
okay,
just keep it, so this could be the waste print every Monday.
okay, great,
So.
okay. I'll
Yeah,
keep that in mind next time I need my posters.
There you go.
Only one a week.
Oh,
You're helping us.
that's fantastic. So we'll target July 19th for the distribution of the checks. Great, and I'm sure that they will all be used well. Okay, landscape workshops at Vallecitos.
So this is a good partnership. It's between us and the city of San Marcos. The city of San Marcos approached me a couple months back. They're having a lot of dry weather flows showing up in their studies and analysis, which means people are basically irrigating at 2 and 3 in the morning. It's running off and going into the gutters. Their stormwater program doesn't want to have that happen. So they're trying to come up with ways to improve that situation. And we don't want the water wasted either here at Vallecitos. So we are having an event this Saturday at Jack's Pond. This one's like a children's event to talk about trying to keep water on the property and get the kids. And we're going to be handing out flyers for their parents. So this is San Diego County Water Authority. It's going to be putting on these classes. We're going to host them here at our facility. We got that nice training room, and then we have good gardens out front with irrigation and equipment and so forth. We did them a few years ago. I don't know if you remember, but Eileen actually, one of our employees, she's retired now, but now comes back as a, what do we call
Tired
it?
and new.
Yeah, she comes back every once in a while, but she actually went to the classes and actually did her landscape makeover. So it's a series of classes, starts on August 2nd. I'm going to give you these flyers. Like 5:30 to 8:30 each evening, like 2 weeks apart. So August 2nd, and then August 16th, and then August 30th, and September 13th, and then September 27th.
Not on a Wednesday night.
So they are Wednesday nights.
No.
So,
These are board meetings.
yeah, so there's good and bad to that, in that,
Sure.
you know,
Thinking,
well, you'll have some that you could come to if you wanted to. And not everybody, is anybody gonna make all 5 of them? I'm not sure. You'll get, there's somebody I'm sure that'll come to all 5 of them, maybe me, because I gotta be there with the class and close up shop afterward. But the classes are like planning, like site assessment, soils analysis, design, like figuring out what you want to do, plants, like which plants do you want to choose, water and irrigation, so that people understand what they're trying to do with the water and what type of irrigation they want to put in, drip or whatever. And then installation and maintenance. So once you put it in, then you got to maintain it afterward. So a series of 5 classes. It's free. It doesn't cost them anything. We're going to host them. We want people from our service area, obviously, and city of San Marcos wants our service area. But if somebody signs up and it's from somewhere else, they can come. Our big burden is getting 30 people each one of those nights to actually show up. That's about what the training room will hold. But
Okay.
that's
so there
that's
has to be.
that's the big effort. They've got an Eventbrite login link that you can use. So we'll be handing these out. I'll pass these around.
Yeah, great. Are we gonna have social media that we can repost?
Yes, exactly. And we just haven't really pushed it yet. I want to let the city have a chance to kind of look this over. They're going to want. They're going to want to be able to provide for publicity for this as well. It's
Okay,
really helping their stormwater program out, and kind of a nice effort with the two of us, along with the water authority, to all have it.
It's been a while since I remember we did this before.
Yeah, but it was well before COVID.
Yeah, 2018 or something.
Something like that, yeah. And they do some online classes, so Vice President, if you want to come to one of them and then you can't go to another one, I think you can do the online one, and then you have some that are on demand where you can do it that way. It loses something when it's, you know how it is. Get distracted while you're watching the thing, and next thing you know, 20 minutes have gone by. And what did I just learn?
That's a pretty good freebie there. You should make sure to
Yeah.
come with that one.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good freebie.
it's a really great program. I remember
Oh,
looking
free
into
visit?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many people want like
Just somebody to come help you.
and just be like, yeah, that's a little bit unsightly. Yeah, I would do this and this, and that would like totally change that look. you
Yeah.
know?
Or people with, we've got a couple of fruit trees that they, we get like 3 lemons. So, somebody that knows something about fruit trees.
Yeah,
come-
yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is such a great program, and okay, it starts August 2nd.
Yep.
There is publicity being planned.
Yep.
In conjunction with City of San Marcos.
Correct.
And is there maybe an opportunity to target some of our places where we know folks that would be interested in this, like San Marcos, or
Yeah,
because
well-
it's city, can we target Lake San Marcos?
We absolutely can, because Lake San Marcos is our service area, but
Yeah.
the city doesn't get credit for that. But that's okay.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I can get 30 people here.
Okay.
That's the big burden that we have, is that we don't, have crickets and there's nobody here.
Yeah.
I will let, once we kind of get this out, I will eventually let kind of the neighbors rent over at Vista Irrigation and Rincon del Diablo, because they're not going to want to drive too far to come to it. So, the local agencies that are along the 78, anybody can come to these, but it's probably going to be the people that are close by that can make a little 15-minute drive.
You probably know, but there's calendars like at local events in San Marcos, stuff like that, that you can just throw this on. That would be helpful.
Truly.
And I also noticed a typo, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, tell me, because I haven't put these out yet.
It's okay. It's the last September 27th date.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I see it. No bees,
September.
It's a curse.
right?
Sometimes I
What is it
cannot
that I
see
can't?
My wife has the same thing.
I can't get the word manager right. It's like pursued me my whole year. I put manger, for whatever reason. And spell check says, yeah, that's good.
That's a good word.
Manger.
Well, thank you for continuing to do this, and I look forward to, to see what the turnout is like.
Yeah.
Do you have, a lot of folks that live in San Marcos are also beholden to HOAs.
Yes.
So do we ever reach out to HOAs and let them know that we are doing these things? Because
Then you leverage their.
Absolutely, and that's the city has it was really trying to target the HOAs and the water authorities separately. We've had this program, and I think you're both aware of it, that there's a lot of effort going into Lake San Marcos where they're trading out the turf and putting in low water use. And I've sent you videos on it and so forth. So that's a partnership between the water authority and the county of San Diego, unincorporated areas. And then us getting tagged in, and we thankfully did a good job of letting Lake San Marcos know about this, and they're doing it. We've had like 3 of them get done, and 3 more in the works. So San Diego County Water Authority issued a new RFP, and I was on their evaluation panel to pick a vendor to provide this same type of service to cities. So we selected a vendor, they're going through contract negotiations, but this same type of thing will be available to cities. So
Okay.
we'll be reaching out to the HOAs within the city of San Marcos with this same outreach that we did to Lake San Marcos.
Okay.
So that's coming. It's a little behind the curve.
That's right. Oh, we've talked about this, right?
Yes.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's coming.
These radio show, I've seen it through Walter's management and since San Diego before, I've seen it in the Quail Call, stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
coming from the city that direction to
Okay.
them, but
Okay,
then it still has the right information to get to us.
good. Okay.
So these are all good things, but it all means less water sales. So it's always the balance. that we're at.
That's right.
The
Yeah,
less
I-
water we sell, the harder, it's harder to keep our.
It's not
rates.
business, right? We're encouraging using less of our product.
Well, I mean, you
It's
know,
the only right reason.
it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be a tipping point at some point where all of us realize that this business model undermines our business.
Well,
Yes.
but we have continual growth too, so even less per person, still we end up with more sales over time.
Yeah.
So
Okay, it's that balance of managing the growth and the.
with this much water and more people, so we like still use this much water.
When you reprint this with the corrected typo, I would like another color copy of it. And I wonder if we have a discretionary budget where if I wanted to make a bunch of copies of this to deliver to constituents, is there an opportunity for that or?
Just tell us how much.
Yeah, what do you want?
Okay, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, I would appreciate you putting them out. I
Okay.
won't get you up for budget money. for
Okay,
that.
good.
Yeah, I want to get 30 people there. That's really kind of, that's my lift, is to make sure 30 people show up
And this is how they RSVP through Eventbrite.
through Eventbrite. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so I will circle back and get this one done. Okay, anything else on? No? Okay, thank you. This is fantastic news. Right, this is such a great committee. We always talk about just
Fun stuff.
fun
Yeah.
community things. Love it. Okay. CSU San Marcos Senior Graduate Experience Update.
So it was a really successful process. They came up with some good recommendations. They're not going to solve the problem for us because it's a big problem and it's an ongoing problem. The power is going to be an ongoing problem. But sure enjoyed their effort, appreciated their, they came over and they looked through the fleet and actually, drilled down to which vehicles they thought could be the ones that get sent out first. And then even after their presentation done, one of their students reached out to me with some additional info. So
Great.
All nice young men and
All of
I
them were
did,
men? Were they all men?
yeah,
Five
yeah.
years, I don't know how they make up 13.
Yeah, but I went to the event and that wasn't the way it was
Yeah.
Okay.
at the event. I mean, there
Yeah,
was.
Chris and I went there like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was plenty of
Some all women.
young
teams,
ladies.
some
Yeah,
mixed,
there were some all women teams too. So I don't know how that got divvied up.
They picked her up. too.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Two of them were brothers, they were twins,
Oh,
but
interesting.
fraternal twins. You couldn't tell they were twins until I told you.
Okay.
It's like my senior project, we picked my friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Did their output get circled around? I know I saw
Yeah,
it because I
yeah,
asked you
yeah.
for it, but did everyone?
So engineering,
Yeah, Ed,
I didn't send it to you. I will send it to you.
I would like to
That's
see
my
it.
bad.
so, Ed and I reviewed it, we both looked at the presentation and the report, looked at it, they did a great job for what they had and what they can do, but what we're going to do is we're gonna leverage their information with our consultant that we have budgeted to start fleet electrification. And it lays a lot of the foundation work for them. So we already got a proposal from our consultant and originally we thought it'd be somewhere around 90 to 100,000, but with this information, I don't know for sure, but we said, here's information we have. We got an initial proposal of 58,000. It's gonna go up because they have some holes in it,
Mhm.
but it's not gonna be 90. And I want to give a little bit, I don't know how much credit, but I think some of it is because some of the students' work gave some of the baseline foundation information of, fleet age, mileage, so on and so forth, that the consultant no longer has to do that, which is just really data management work. But you're still paying somebody at a high rate to do that data management work.
That's
So,
great.
Truly.
so, even if it saves us 10 grand off our initial thought, it's still money well spent.
Mhm.
And so then we're gonna move forward with that process next fiscal year, assuming the budget gets moved forward, so.
So they had an event over at Cal San Marcos where it was kind of a,
Trade show.
yeah, trade show. And, wanted to make sure I went, but I wound up having a good enough time going to the different stations that I managed to stay until it ended.
Yeah.
So that tells me, because I could just leave make an appearance. I had a good time. I went and talked to all the different booths, almost every one. I don't think I got to all of them.
There's a lot, there's more
Yeah.
booths than I thought.
And likewise, other people that attended learned about Vallecitos because of the.
Truly.
So,
Truly, I will say I'm a little proud of this, that I guess I was really responsive, and I guess like some of their cohorts were saying, yeah, we were supposed to help this entity, but they didn't help us. So how do
Yeah.
we do this?
Oh,
Yeah, so they want info and they want you to get back to them because the clock's ticking, so.
Yeah, I was a consultant. One of my biggest complaints when I was on the private side was non-responsive owners.
It sounds like this is a good partnership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's more, we may want to continue with this, or we may want to shift to something else, but
Yeah,
these problems that nobody wants to look at, nobody wants to face.
it's a good starting point.
Yeah,
yeah, thanks for bringing it to our attention.
I really enjoyed it a lot.
It's once a semester, so if you did it like once a year.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Well,
didn't
in
eat
the-
up much
In the
time.
back of our mind, we'll have those lists of projects, and
Right.
when the calls for projects
Yeah.
come, we'll be ready, because this time was a very short fuse. and
Right,
You
yeah.
told us it's like on a Thursday, it was like due Monday or something, so, but we got it in, Chris did a great job, and we'll keep our eye on it.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to see the output, because I have not seen
I will
it.
say that.
That'd
I
be great.
apologize.
Thank you.
Went right over my head that I didn't send it to you.
So do they, is this for business credit, or is it a Six Sigma type project, or is it what?
They're a capstone project, so it's like basically the last thing they do before they graduate.
It's a requirement, right?
Senior project.
Gotcha.
That's the way I understood it, yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
It was a nice event, though, it was really well done at the. Cal State.
Usually they have it at like Sony headquarters or like Qualcomm headquarters.
Oh, do you?
Like, so they try to rotate it around.
Okay.
So, like different parts of the community get to see what Cal State's up to.
Yeah,
And so it's nice that it's for you guys that was local.
yeah, it's a nice, easy little job.
yeah, I just assumed they always did it there,
Yeah.
and now they did it elsewhere.
Yeah, and I made sure I told all the students, hey, send me your real email address, because your Cal State one's gonna
Yeah,
disappear,
That's right.
very shortly.
That was smart.
And
Yeah.
if you
stay in
want
touch with them.
References or whatever, one of them's an accountant. I was like, we have accountants here, so,
Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
good group of guys.
yeah, they sure were.
Okay, well, thank you. Drought level 1 outreach.
So, between the pipes was at the mailers or it was at the post office, either Friday or Saturday, so it's gonna start.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good news. You got
I
it?
didn't get it.
Well, I checked it this morning and I presume it came yesterday,
Yeah.
so I mean, I hadn't come in, so I got it
Okay.
yesterday.
Okay, all right, well, that
Maybe
means,
it's busy. I didn't get it yesterday, unless you got it on Saturday.
yeah, if you got it on
Yeah.
Saturday, it must have mailed on Friday, because sometimes you can get just one day. But so that's announcing drought level 1. Press release went out today announcing drought level 1. I texted the 3 reporters from Fox. Crickets, yeah, crickets, I think it's old news at this point.
Particularly relaxing the requirements
Yeah.
isn't as exciting.
Yes.
It's even more.
So it crickets, but
Yeah, they do like it when.
Oh, they jumped on it
more-
when we went into
more
level
time.
2. Yeah.
yeah.
but
So-
what is-
The word's out there, and we're not dropping all the way down to no drought level, because we still want people to think about it. Colorado River still has some issues and problems, and with all of the announcements, we're always trying to remind them that there's certain things that you just never do. You never irrigate while it's raining, that kind of thing. So,
How many, How many days in a row have we had cloudy weather?
Right?
It's not just cloudy, literally
Like
like
rain,
it's
precipitation,
drizzle, yeah.
physical precipitation. you're not supposed to
I
get.
call that last one Saturday or
Yeah.
that was just rain.
I woke up and it was just like raining outside.
Yeah.
Just enough to mess up your car.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And I was supposed to wash cars that day.
Yeah.
And that happened.
We didn't do that Tuesday.
Okay, so we've got some outreach going to make that known. And, I think for most of our, and at some point, it would be great to have some data on this. I know that at one point when we went to drought level 1, which was a voluntary cutback of 10%, I think we measured it that our area actually cut back 4%.
Yeah.
So, kind of going from drought level 2 to drought level 1, I don't know that our average constituent or customer knows what that means.
No.
But if we could have some data points at some point to show.
Yeah,
what-
we definitely have the data. The weather takes a huge role in it. So we can provide data, but you have to take it with a grain of salt
Mhm.
because if we have a heavy June gloom and
Mhm.
last year's June gloom was sunny, there'll be a significant difference. It will look like we've really, assuming people actually stop watering because it's misty outside, it'll look like we had a lot of conservation.
Mhm.
But then next June, if it's really sunny, or even if we were in a level 2, you might
Mhm.
see an uptick. So the weather is really the driver.
But we can also measure, when did we implement level 1? What did the cutback look like? Which we looked at before. When did we implement level 2? What did the cutback look like? Did we achieve what we were aiming for? And, we can think about what our outreach looked like and,
And
adjust
see,
that
so
up or
see
down.
what was effective and what
Mhm.
wasn't, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know Mike does a lot of that
Yeah.
tracking already, so we have that.
probably does it in his head.
The
Yeah.
What is that, 500,000 lines of data?
the June message is that we're going to drought level 1.
Yeah.
So when the bill message, not that everybody reads that, but
The
that's
messaging on the bill
yeah,
itself.
the messaging of the bill. In fact, I need to do something in July, and I forget what it is.
Okay.
There's something I have to do in July. I need to remember what I was. I need to remember that because I said, "Oh yeah, we'll do that in July."
And it's landscape class.
Maybe
Water quality report.
it might have been, but I thought it was something else.
What's your consumer confidence? report?
So that is, we have to publish that on June 30th.
Okay.
It's
That's
done
fine.
and it should be in the packet. I
It
think
is.
it's a board
It
meeting.
is. It's on
Okay.
Yeah.
Wednesday's
Yeah.
agenda.
But that's why it's on.
Yeah.
That's why it's in my
That's
head.
always been fine.
That's why it's on my head.
Because that's Sean's baby, but I have to
I know.
I have to carry his baby.
Or surrogate.
Right. Well,
We'll,
For the
we'll,
duties as assigned.
Right.
we'll have water loss coming back up. There's always something.
right.
So.
Okay, any other comments about drought level 1? Any other comments?
Got blood drive on Thursday. Here at the district.
Yeah, good. How well are those attended? Is it mostly Vallecitos employees that do it, or do people come from the community?
So it's really tricky for operations staff to make it because the timing just doesn't play out too well for them. I have consistent donators that come, so that's really
Okay,
good.
good.
And there are certain community members that continuously show up. So,
Okay.
but every once in a while I'll try and get like some of the local places to participate. And it just doesn't ever seem like I get much bite. I'm gonna go over to the credit union. Will Rivera's over there. I see him everywhere because anytime there's a community event, we've got a booth and there's Cal Coast with a booth and there's Will Rivera. And I'm gonna be like, can you send somebody as tribute, just like in what's that movie? Right? I volunteer as tribute. Go send somebody.
Games.
Yeah, go send somebody and let us take a pint out of their.
Okay. One thing that I missed on this agenda that I know we talked about at the last meeting was the table of contents for our employee handbook. So we had some homework that we were supposed to do, and I was a little panicky because I thought I hadn't done it. And this morning I looked and I was like, oh, it's actually not on the agenda, so I'm off the hook. So maybe next time, we'll put it on the agenda and we can resume that discussion, and that will also give the two of us directors a welcome reprieve and a little bit of an extension. So thank you. Let's make sure that that goes on the next one. Anything else?
No.
Okay, great. I think we're adjourned.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks again for the donuts.
Sure. Sure.